Missy with B&M Crop Consulting here in Coldwater, Michigan. We're here in the shop today to start talking about planter setup and how important it is to get your planter ready for the planting season. We've put together what we call the 10-point planter checklist. So it goes through the 10 most important things of trying to get this planter set up from what we call the hitch pin all the way to the closing wheels. So we're talking about going through the transmission system, row units being centered, down pressure, parallel arms, the row cleaners, no-till coulter if you're running one of those, the gauge wheels being set right, opening disc, and then seed tubes and guards, firming points depending on what planter you have. And then we wrap up the 10 points with the actual closing system itself. So something to really kind of consider. I want to hit a couple high points today, some of the common mistakes we do see made on the planters. And one of those is just the transmission system itself, so I highly recommend running your transmission system on the planter and looking through there. But the next real problem area we see is in the parallel arms. A lot of these parallel arms, the bolts and bushings are getting too wore out, or guys aren't keeping these tight enough. So remember, we got 8 bolts in every one of these row units, and we want to make sure they're staying tight. This time of the year, what we want to do is actually pull them out, take a look at them, what's the condition of the bolt, if there's any threads or anything worn off. You want to inspect the bushing itself and make sure it doesn't have a mushroom or a lip to it, like this one really has a mushroom to it. The other thing is just see what it looks like, or get a new bushing, stick it in your arm, and just see how much wear there actually is in there. So I can take this bushing and you can really see daylight next to it. So this is wore out where I've actually wore the arm itself. So new bushings in this case aren't actually going to help. And we've seen this happen a lot as more planters have moved to the hydraulic downforce system, which I really like, and we're getting big advantages on agronomically, but it's a much harder system on a parallel arm. So something we've got to keep a lot closer eye on. Another really common problem area of our 10-point checklist that we see is in the gauge wheels. The gauge wheel's just not being set right. So if I lift this gauge wheel up into the running position, this is how I'm going to check it in the shop, and then I'm going to make sure as I pull out on this, there's no space between the inside of the gauge wheel and the disc opener itself, to the point that when I let go of this, I can actually hear the rubber slide down the metal. Then I know I've got them about tight enough. If they just slam down on us, then I know that we don't have them tight enough. One of the big products we've seen to help us there has been the gauge wheel rebuild kit, the arm rebuild kit from Copperhead Ag or RK Products. This has been a good addition to really help keep these tighter a lot longer throughout the season, so something to take a look at there. Another common problem area of our checklist is in the disc openers, not having this point of contact set correct, and it's really more about the uniformity of it. So if I check my point of contact, take my business card, slide one in from the bottom, one in from the top, and then I'm going to see where those two come together. And I'm going to mark that on there, and I want to do that at least 4 times all the way around. What I'm looking for there is uniformity. I'd like that number to be within about a 1/4 inch of one another. A lot of the OEM blades, we've really struggled there. So one of the ones that we've gained a lot more uniformity on is what we have on this planter. It's called the GBGI blade. So a little bit more consistent on the blade, a few less issues there. On the case planter, it's a little bit different. You don't actually want your card to catch. It should kind of just keep kind of very carefully sliding through there, not quite catch. So some of that does depend on your planter. One of the last things is just your closing wheels. One of the biggest things we see there is just closing wheels aren't staying centered, so make sure they're staying centered. But we talk about all of this in a lot more detail in the 10-point planter checklist video series, so I highly recommend that you go ahead and take a look at that. We've got some special discount codes out there right now for you, so check out the website and you can see some of these discount codes.